I would say that I haven't substantially matured since college.
Welcome to Backtracking, the show where two old friends take a second listen to influential bands' catalogs track by track. I am J. William Hall.
And I'm Dan Fiden. We'll be taking this journey together, providing context, both personal and historical, on some legendary bands. For our second season, we have picked none other than American Music Club. J. William Hall, we are back for our second installment on American Music Club's Swan Song, their final studio album, The Golden Age.
Released in the year 2008. Dan, where were you that year?
Okay, 2008. I can answer that question. I was in beautiful Half Moon Bay, California. I was in I lived in Half Moon Bay, California at that time. I worked in 2008. I believe I worked at Electronic Arts, the video game company, Electronic Arts.
And
what else was I doing?
With the big boys. Yeah, you were up in the San Francisco area.
Yeah, I was in the San Francisco area. Yeah, sure. I can't really, by that I think I believe I'll tell you what was happening. I had just bought my wife and I had bought our first house, and we were wringing our hands over the fact that it had halved in value in the course of like less than 12 months because the housing crisis hit in 2008, right? Or I mean the whatever they call that, the great financial crisis, I guess is what they call it now.
So I'll give you a brief recap of where I was at this time in 2008. I had just started a new job.
Yes.
January 1st, I started a new job, and I had a baby due in May.
Yeah.
And so I was very laser focused on, I got to hold this job down. I got the health insurance.
Yep.
These are my duties.
Yeah.
And so I get to the job, and it's a convoluted situation, but basically I was showing up at a workplace where I did not work with anybody there directly, and my supervisor was not there, and the project I was supposed to be working on got paused.
That sounds like a good situation.
I was just showing up every day, like trying to conjure something to do, but there was nothing to do. And I did not want to lose that job, and so I just quietly showed up every day. And instead of doing the job, I mixed my band's second album. And that was basically what I did for the year 2008. Yes.
Wow. But you made it through. You made it through without them finding out.
Things changed. Things evolved, Dan. That's how life is. Things keep on changing and evolving, and that's what happened to me. That's what has happened to you. That is what has happened to AMC. We're here for Side B, The Golden Age, their final album released in 2008.
God, what a segue that was, J. William Hall. This is why you are a quasi-professional broadcaster. You were not the station manager of our college radio station for no reason. It's that kind of smooth transition that earns you that spot. That coveted spot.
For some of us, it comes naturally. You could say I'm a podcasting savant.
Yeah,
you could say that.
You could. Now, do you remember being the station manager of that radio station? And follow-up question, what were the highlights and lowlights of your tenure as station manager?
Oh, geez. I don't. How much time do we have on this podcast?
We make up the rules. It can be as long as we want or as short as we want.
Of course, I remember being a station manager. I was especially proud that we took our radio station to 24 hours around the clock, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
That was impressive for a small college radio station. They don't make them like they used to. The station stopped doing it probably the minute I stepped out the door. Yeah. And the last time that I was on that campus and I went to their new location of their radio station, which is a much cooler spot, but it's also smaller and just not as funky.
Yeah.
And I looked at their schedule, holes like Swiss cheese.
Yeah,
Blocks
no.
and 2 hours here, 2 hours there, an hour over here. No, not over. Come on now.
Yeah.
College radio back in the day, that it was so influential in the culture and the listening habits of young people.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I do think that probably what enabled us to go 24 hours was the fact that both you and I were on the radio, probably, I'm going to say 100 hours of that week was either you or me. Is my recollection.
It's true. We found ways to work ourselves into the schedule in various scenarios and guises. We loved what we did, and I wanted to pursue it professionally, but then I did an internship with Wisconsin Public Radio one May.
I don't remember that. I don't remember this.
Yes. And so I was in Madison, Wisconsin, great town. It was 1993. It was beautiful. It was May. So I went there for a month to do this internship, Wisconsin Public Radio, met great people across the board. Everybody was cool as hell. They were so nice to me. I had a great time there. Every single one of them said, do not go into radio. There's no money, there's no job security, it sucks, you don't want to do, don't, that's my advice to you. And so I took them for their, I was like, okay, I guess I should look elsewhere. And the rest is history.
Yeah, that's interesting. I also toyed with the idea of trying to do it professionally. Not as seriously as you, although my senior year, another one of the former students who had worked at our college radio station approached me with an offer to do a morning drive radio show in Portland, Oregon after I graduated. And and I toyed with the idea and then realized, I'm not sure that I want to be operating a T-shirt cannon at a grocery store opening for the rest of my life.
Maybe you would have loved it. Maybe
it's possible.
That is a path that you did not take.
As an older gentleman, like both you and I are, I think one thing that would be really cool to be able to do is to hit pause on our lives right now, go back to those interesting decision points, and then play it out from that decision point in a different way again. Wouldn't that be cool?
Well, I mean, soon utilizing AI and maybe some kind of goggles. We'll be able to do just that.
Yeah.
We'll say, AI, build me an alternate future in which I made this decision at this point in my life. What would have happened?
God, wouldn't you love to do that?
I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would.
Why?
I like that. I've got one. This is my. I have one reality. I don't need more.
Is it that you're afraid that one of those forks would be cool and you'd be full of regret about it?
I just think it would be addictive, you spend too much, you start spending too much time over there looking at that,
Yeah. I mean, what would have happened if after that, flatbeds gig in college, when that sound guy was like, "Oh, you guys should,"
he was like, "Oh, you guys could totally play a Nurk." We were like, "Whoa, really? Let's go play a Nurk."
If we had really thrown ourselves into that, what could have happened?
That was an inflection point that unfortunately all fans of music will never experience. They will never understand the impact that the flatbeds could have had on music in general.
Yeah. Well, listen, AI. Maybe AI will teach them, and
we can create an alternate AI universe in which the flatbeds actually got off their asses and tried harder and started playing in Nurk, and then maybe in Columbus, and then who knows, right?
Yeah. Who does know? How do it know? How does the AI know?
Only AI know. AI know.
I know. All right, so listen. Enough about AI. This is the technology segment of the program, but it's time to move past that.
Okay.
It is time for us to dig into side B. We are already halfway through this record, more or less. Why don't we continue it? The next track we've got to cover. Track 1 on our arbitrary side B is "Who Are You?" 4 minutes and 31 seconds.
No.
Let's give it a listen.
Who you are? No. Who you
what?
are?
Who are you? Who you are? It's who you are?
Yes.
Who are you?
Are you J. William Hall, and I'm telling you, it is
are you
who you are.
Okay, who you are. You claim that the title of this song is "Who You Are." I'm gonna go with it, and it's 4 minutes and 31 seconds. Let's listen. Okay, J. William Hall. This song, after many backtracks of this album, I found these lyrics to be kind of the most scintillating on the record. And I'm going to scintillating, tantalizing, perhaps is a better way to say it. Tantalizing. And I'm going to tell you why. My read of these lyrics, I'm sure you've looked up a Google and you've looked up a Google and you found an article. But I feel like after reading these lyrics, this is a message and an ode to a young person that Eitzel admires greatly just getting into music. Someone young, someone full of potential, someone who's perhaps asked to collaborate with Eitzel or asked him for advice. And his advice is, you've got to remember, who are you?
No, that is not his advice.
Yes. You've got to remember who you are. And and don't let the man fuck your shit up. And don't let me fuck your shit up. You do you. Whoever you are. Right. Now, that was my read. Now, do you think there's merit in that read?
I do indeed. I agree with it 100%. I think that this is a message to a young up-and-coming person, perhaps in the music industry, perhaps in the entertainment industry more broadly, who Mark Eitzel admires and thinks is cool and talented and is great, as they are, but is worried that they could get fucked up by the industry.
Yeah. Now, you have not been able to find any speculation on the internet about who this song might be about. Who are you?
Negatory. But I mean, we would have to dig, and we should have. I mean, honestly, I'm ashamed that I did not dig deeper into this issue and try to see in the year 2008, who are the up and coming new artists who might be in the Eitzel sphere somehow, or even who did he tour with and who maybe opened for him, that type of thing. That could, maybe provide some clues. I did not do the requisite research. I am given demerits.
Well, I am going to ask AI right now. Since we were talking about AI, I'm going to see if AI
let's see how powerful, how all-knowing this AI is.
Okay. Yeah, well, it does not really it does not really speculate. It doesn't give us any answer. Apparently, there is an article that says "Who You Are" is a smooth song of encouragement for a friend. Yeah. So I don't know. I would like to believe that this is a song that he wrote to the young Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj, famous actor, huge Mark Eitzel fan. Undoubtedly,
right.
There's no doubt that that's what it's about.
Has covered Mark Eitzel several times, I believe.
Yeah. No. I think we're in agreement. But I would love if there was anyone out there who has some inside info on who this is about. Please let us know. We'll add it to the housekeeping in a future episode. But it does feel clear.
The music. Let's talk about the music here. Because we don't know what the song or who the song is for exactly, but I think we have a picture of what the message of the song is. So this song, I believe, is the only one I can think of offhand in the AMC or Eitzel solo canon that starts with what almost sounds like a 12-string little guitar back and forth little lick. It almost sounds like the Byrds or like a Peter Buck or Robin Hitchcock kind of 12-string little thing. And I thought that and the song itself is possibly their most like the most AOR sounding song on the album. Yeah.
Extremely slick, and it really does continue the vibe from the last song on the previous side of this album, All the Lost Souls Welcome You to San Francisco. In my opinion, this is the other yacht rock, the other most yacht rockin' song on this album. In my opinion, I think it's interesting they sequence them together. But, it reminds me a little bit of I Broke My Promise.
Yep.
Kind of has a similar bouncy. I think it's a nice song. It's an interesting song. It's a well-produced, well-executed song. But I found the lyrics to be tantalizing, as I said. But the song itself, I feel like was in a similar way to again how I feel about I Broke My Promise. It isn't a bad song, but it doesn't stand out particularly in a good way or a bad way on the album. I just think it's there.
Yeah, it feels again like very professionally executed, like just very like everything is very controlled and sort of just all like one color kind of thing,
Yep.
And the positioning of the song suggests that it was considered a weaker track in the overall track list.
But you're assuming in terms of the CD track list, right? As we've broken it up into a side A and side B, but there is no vinyl pressing of this, so we don't really know. We don't really know how. But what you're saying is it's kind of buried a little bit in the middle.
If it was a two-sided thing, then this would be like early on side 2. That's where the weakest songs are typically put. I'm not saying that's always accurate because I think sometimes an artist diminishes something that the fans end up loving. But, I feel like this song kind of slots into that position.
Yeah. Now I'm really looking forward to hearing your backtrack of this album, because I do think there are some strange tracking choices here. But again, I think we have to kind of address it as though the vinyl doesn't exist. I just think it is, in some ways, it's interesting that they included these two most yacht rocky songs back to back, right? There is some continuity there.
Yeah,
but I consider them both oddballs on the album, frankly.
I guess if maybe they were going for an arc for the overall album, that, because it was only going to be released on CD, so they were like, okay, we're not worried about side 1, side 2, we're doing an overall arc. And so they kind of were grouping like songs together a little bit.
Yeah, could be. Well, interesting. Do you want to move on from this one? It
Yes.
feels like we don't have too much to talk about here. All right, the next song, pretty interesting. The Windows on the World, 6 minutes and 11 seconds. The longest song on this album, if I'm not mistaken. So let's listen.
At the windows on the world, at the windows on the world. If I snap my fingers, what will I get? If I snap my fingers, what will I get?
Okay, J. William Hall,
If I snap
I generally do not like Eitzel's very talky, almost spoken wordy songs. We've discussed this in previous episodes. This is definitely one of those songs.
Yes. This is an epic Eitzel talker. He's telling a story, in this song. And of course, we've backtracked a version of this song already that was on the Eitzel solo, the Copenhagen 2009. So that version would have been performed in the wake of this album. But it was the more cabaret version because it was just him and Mark Capel on piano. And that version is fucking intense. Like it starts off almost comedic, because he's bantering with the audience and there's a little bit of, as they get into the song or whatever. And I think it even like stops a couple times and they have to restart it or whatever. But when it gets into the song, it's pretty intense. And I feel like on the Golden Age, this AMC version of the song, to me, this is the emotional centerpiece of the album.
Oh, interesting. Say more about that.
Well, it could be that this one most closely ties to the themes and the feel of Love Songs for Patriots. Like this one feels sort of akin to Patriot's Heart. Eitzel kind of delivering this, this big story, and I did find some interviews where they talk about this song in particular. And, and he says this is just a straight up retelling, of a night that actually happened. Do you know the background on this story, Dan?
No, please tell it.
Okay. So, the story is laid out in the song. He was invited to go to a party with Kid Congo Powers. He was in New York City, and this party was for the band that, Jonathan Fire Eater was the name of the band. I don't know if you remember that name. They were kind of like, kind of a hot indie band in the late 90s. And then they broke up, and 3/4 of that band or 3/5 of that band went on to be in the Walkmen.
Oh, okay.
So they were like the predecessor band of the Walkmen, and but they were called Jonathan Fire Eater, and they were having a party like up in that Windows on the World, bar at the top of the World Trade Center, and so. This is just an account of that evening, basically. But, the thing that's so powerful about this song is, where it's happening. Like he's telling the story of this whole kind of debauched, party where he, does drugs and embarrasses himself with the bartender and, it portrays himself as acting obnoxiously. Yeah. But nobody there understands this like incredible tragedy that's going to happen right here. In just, it could have only been a year or two, from 9/11 because, Jonathan Fire Eater, I think they existed in like the late 90s, and so, anyway, that's the story of the song.
Yeah, this song, as I said, I don't generally like these kind of spoken word type Eitzel songs, and I haven't throughout the entirety of their career. I think this one works as well as any of the songs in this category in the catalog for me. I like the lyrics. I feel like the lyrics are accessible. They're relatable. There is something emotional about them. Even if you don't know that story, which I didn't, it just seems like a very straightforward reminiscence for him with some overtones, right? But even musically, I think this one works really well. I really like Voodie. It sounded to me like he's on a lap steel or a pedal steel or an EBow and a guitar and a volume pedal or something. But he does something interesting in here that I really liked. And I mentioned it in the last episode way up in at the top. But I think with a different drum part, this song would not move. It just would feel like it goes on forever. And it isn't that the drum part is particularly interesting. It isn't that it's so strange, but it does feel like well constructed as a part of the song, right? It really does feel like it as you've said kind of before, there is none of that feeling that the drummer showed up, heard the song once and just played something. This really was kind of part of the entire construction and arrangement of this song. And I just think you can tell it has this nice propulsiveness that kind of pulls you through the song in a very nice way. And I really, really love the end of this song. This is a great example of kind of like, you could have faded it, but you did this weird kind of disintegration thing that happens and it somehow fits well. Not my type of song necessarily within the AMC catalog, but I really like it. I think it works quite well.
You know, I would probably say the same thing, that the sort of like, hey, everybody, let me tell you a story kind of songs are not my favorite, but I wound up really loving Patriot's Heart, and I feel like that one has stuck with me more, like, you know, after backtracking that album. And this one really, I felt like hit hard as well. You know, and the only performer that I feel like could deliver this kind of song and lyric would be like Nick Cave. Like I could hear Nick Cave doing this kind of song. But it's a similar effect, like on the audience, you know, like as the story goes on, and it just like, there's enough details and enough kind of like, I don't know, just interesting lyrical things that he sprinkles through there. And then it hits on this great big chorus, you know? And I felt like the harmonies on the chorus actually, I thought sounded like Danny Pearson. you know, like, you know, it felt like the note that he would have hit, you know? But I think it's a powerful song, and I agree with you that the drum part, you know, the bass part, I think are pretty background, but they're so well executed, and the song is constructed and built in such a like good way. It doesn't feel 6 minutes long to me. Yeah, you know?
Really integral to the song in a way that I don't think you could say that about really any of the other songs on this record, right? Like the rhythm section in a lot of ways makes this song work, I think. So yeah, interesting one. That's an interesting one. But are you ready to move one step ahead?
Yes,
to one step ahead?
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
All right, 4 minutes and 51 seconds. Let's go.
I won't let you go outside the rain. Trust me, I won't fail. Keeping one step ahead.
I'm dying to hear your opinion on this music, J. William Hall, but before we get to that, I want to talk about the lyrics really quickly. Again, seems pretty straightforward song about kind of keeping ahead of pain that you're running from, and almost encouragement of keeping ahead of the pain that you're running from. But there is a she that is referred to in this song pretty consistently, and I have no sense who that might be.
I think he says, because this is another one that was on the live solo acoustic 2005 to 7. Or wait a second. No, I'm mixing this up with something else. Hold on, everybody.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I don't remember this. Well, I've misremembered a couple of these already, so I don't want to say that I'm right. But I did not recognize this as one that we'd heard before.
I think we did hear this one before. I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm sure we have.
Well, all right. Well, while you're
I proved it. It was on the solo acoustic live 2005 to 7. Of course, it was a very different arrangement because it was just him with a guitar singing it. But the thing that struck me about that version back then was how like the verses and the choruses almost sound like two different songs altogether, and it's like he jammed them together, and I kind of liked it, like on that solo acoustic one, but it's a little jarring, I think, on this one on first listen, but ultimately I think it works.
So I'm gonna take. I completely agree with what you said, with the exception of the statement that you think it works. I really like the verses. I like the melody of the verses. I like the chords in the verses. The chorus really struck me as odd. It in fact sounds very dissonant to me. And
it hits a weird chord. Yeah.
Yeah, that last chord of the chorus, that one step ahead, it's just this weird. And then when it goes into that verse, which is just very kind of like accessible, I don't know. I'm gonna just go ahead and say this song turned me off. I did not like this song.
It is not among my favorites on the album, I would say. It does have sort of a similar soft rock kind of palette to it, but it's got that one dissonant repeating note in the chorus, which, either gives it an edge or maybe irritates you as a listener.
I don't know. Somehow or another, I feel like, especially because they really hammer on that chord with the background vocals, and they and I think they end the song on that chord. It's like I'm okay. I'm okay with, like, you throw people a curveball every now and again, but the transition from that chord into the verses, it just really does not feel natural to me. I like, even if you're gonna hit that kind of, maybe change the key and hit a weird chord or something, somehow you got to transition back into that verse, I think, and it didn't. I don't know. I was not a fan of this one.
At some point, go back and listen to the solo acoustic version.
Yeah,
because I think that like unlocked it a little bit for me. Like if I had only heard this version, I would be confused by the abrupt, change to the chorus. But when you listen to the solo acoustic, it's like, okay, I see what, he was doing then and why they did it the way they did it. But it might be the harmonies that are the problem on that chorus.
It definitely could be, right?
Yeah, because I feel like his melody doesn't hit such a dissonant sounding note. So
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
but it didn't bother me to the point of like, trash this song. But like, it wasn't my favorite on the album.
Yeah. All right, well, why don't we move on then? Let's not belabor it. We can move on to the dance. 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Let's go.
He holds his gun loose and free like it's a toy, like an orchestra conductor who surrenders to the joy. He feels his destiny. He feels it like a boy. It's too important for anyone to destroy.
Okay, J. William Hall. I think these are among the most well executed and compelling lyrics in the Eitzel catalog.
Wow.
Yeah, I have some real complicated feelings about this song, I think, or feelings that I feel like I'm like wrestling with still. But goddamn, I think this is a well executed, well crafted song, both musically and lyrically. So, just to kind of go over it's a story song, right? And it's very clearly a story song. But it tells the story of a man and a woman who, at least in my reading, is in a relationship with a man who is a policeman or some kind of uniformed, person. And he comes home drunk and he's got his gun out and he says he wants to dance with her and she's scared, but she goes along with it. And there is this sense that she, is in some kind of wants to be in a relationship with this guy, but she also is afraid of him. And they dance together and the gun goes off, shooting her in the head. She dies. And then there's a coda at the end, right? But that's basically the story.
Yes.
And it's not the story that really does it for me. Although it's a notable story, right?
Right. It's dark.
It very, very dark, but it isn't just the darkness of the story. There are some turns of phrase in here that are so imagistic that I really could actually picture the thing, right? In particular, the one that I wanted to point out first here is, and
it
sounds
like there's a pack of wild wolves fighting over the carcass of a caribou
I know
behind you.
My very large dogs have decided that they are going to wrestle and fight a little bit. Not fight, they're playing, but
don't be alarmed, listeners.
Don't be. They have some opinions about this album as well. So, I want to get back to this. So the line that really I think is incredibly imagistic. It's more than one line. It's really a series of lines. He holds the gun loose and free, like it's a toy, like an orchestra conductor who surrenders to the joy. You can really almost see it, right? And I just think these are incredibly well crafted lyrics here.
I agree. This is very much like just reading the lyrics. It's very much like reading a poem. As many of Eitzel's songs are. But it's a different approach than the previous song where it's still like a story. It seems like a short story, but it's more like poetic, I guess. Whereas the previous one was just rambling words, like sentences. So, brava.
Yeah. I don't know. I love it. I love this song, these lyrics. I have one quibble though.
Okay.
I feel like the final verse is just too on the nose. I don't like that he concluded the story as kind of patly as he did.
How do you mean? What part is pat?
But if you say the right words, your uniform is clean. He loves the cop sunglasses, loves what they mean. They show the world he's on the winning team. I feel like that's too much of a
Well, it becomes sort of a
too
political
on the
statement.
nose.
It becomes a political statement about people in power being protected.
Yeah, it does, but I feel like that's I just feel like that's not necessary. The what's beautiful about this strange poem that he's written is the complicated relationship between the woman and the man, right? And it is complicated. There are kind of verses where he's talking about her, like that when she first saw him in her blood, she knew her role. You know what I mean? And then there's this like, a second, she tells herself, don't ever act afraid. This is not how your debts will be paid. I don't know. I mean, there's just like a lot
she's
of
dependent. She's
there's a lot of
on him.
There's a lot of implied complexity here. And then when he just kind of comes in and says, fuck cops, it's just like, all right, Rage Against the Machine, but like, can we, like deal with there's I don't know, somehow moral ambiguity is more interesting to me.
I think I viewed it more broadly. I viewed it more broadly, I guess, than that. Like not specifically like a fuck cops, but just like people in power, including men, the patriarchy, like who are in positions of power and abuse that power. Like that whole anecdote he just told was basically, kind of that situation, roughly, Yeah. I mean, I agree that it breaks the tone. It breaks the sort of dreamlike tone of the story itself of, the woman and the man. But, but I mean, I think he's, again, like his songwriting has gotten more political, like this album is not as overtly political as Love Songs for Patriots, but, I think it has its moments, and that final verse is definitely a moment for him.
And I think one of the reasons I had said I was kind of conflicted by it, I don't like the lyrics of that final verse, but there is this kind of country, like a classic country ballad form where in the final verse, they kind of conclude the story they like wrap it up with a bow. You know what I mean? That's a thing that is common in kind of country and western songwriting. Like songs like Jolene and stuff like that. That's a thing that happens, right? And so I don't think doing that is necessarily out of form for the form that he's kind of working in here, but I like the I
mean, that raises the question, like, did he sort of wrap it up lyrically like that because the band was going to wrap it up like that? Because this is sort of like, it feels like a 70s country bar band,
Yeah. And by the way, perfectly executed and lovely, right? I mean, just perfect.
Totally, almost too perfect.
Almost too perfect. But that brings me to the last thing. Then you get Voodie's kind of guitar solo comes in, and it's completely deranged in the same way that the lyrics are kind of deranged. And so I don't know. I just love the textures in this song. I have my quibble with it, but I think this is such a wonderfully crafted. And, when I like really crafted, this song feels to me like there was a lot of editing, a lot of rework. I don't know that that's true, but it really feels like first was not best in this one. This was like, we're going to really figure this one out.
They worked these arrangements through, there's nothing on this album that feels thrown together or, half the band didn't really know the song very well. Like everything feels like considered, structured, intentional, I mean, and for Voodie, it's more like intentional, as in you're gonna play a deranged solo right here, go, And, I mean, and there's multiple guitars, and
it sounded like there was like he basically played two solos over top of the same break, and they're not like we're not talking about Scorpions like harmony solos or like Iron Maiden harmony solos where two guitarists are playing the same line. It's just weird, but somehow that weirdness really fits given the the text of the song.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, this is I think this is it's tough for me to say this is a favorite song, but this is a song that like it is always gonna be front of mind from the AMC catalog for me. It's just, I just found this song to be really captivating. It was probably the most captivating song on the album for me.
Wow.
Not
Okay.
necessarily, we'll see if it was my favorite, but it really was the one that I probably just like wrestled with, thought about, got stuck in my head. You know what I mean? I couldn't help but listen quite intently to it. Yeah, I don't know. I found this one really neat.
You're gonna love my retracking.
Oh, fuck. If you take the song off in your retracting. All right, so why don't we move on?
Stay tuned.
Why don't we move on to I Know That's Not Really You. 3 minutes and 52 seconds. Let's go.
Down to all the bridges you burn, down the roads where you're always lost. I know, that's not really you.
So I found some of the lyrics in this one really, really interesting, J. William Hall.
Yeah.
There's this whole section in this one where he's kind of talking about I guess the line that I'd pull out. It's the only blessing that you don't fear, the only prayer you know God is sure to fill. And it's basically being about like being alone, and disappearing from the people you love. And I just thought that was such an interesting and dark way to say that. I don't know. It totally unexpected to me, but I loved it.
So who do you think this song is addressed to?
I don't know, but if I had to guess, it would be his father.
Okay. I read it as as him singing to sort of somebody who's kind of like a religious or political hypocrite.
Oh,
but maybe that could be his father. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it may be a little bit too on the nose, but in verse 2, when he says, "Your magic power is to disappear. It's all you leave me in your will. Okay. It's the only blessing that you don't fear, the only prayer you know God is sure to fill." I feel like that's a pretty heavy line. It's certain that it could refer to some other person, but the invocation of will, I feel like, at least for me, implied some kind of like familial relationship.
True.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess.
Clearly, though, I think it's an interesting, the turn of phrase. I know that's not really you. That's such a good chorus. I feel like, because it makes you think, like, it's sort of saying two things at the same time. And I felt like it was really catchily employed in this song. Like, I think it's a really catchy chorus. This is a song that stuck with me. Like, that chorus stuck with me.
Yeah, totally.
While listening through this album, but this is almost like another Gary song in a way too, like musically.
Musically, totally feels that way. It's. I mean, it is a polka, right? Which is something they haven't done. But I mean,
it's like
if you're gonna
oompa.
Yeah, it's a polka with the horns. I mean, there's some mariachi-like horns in here, but like mostly what I got from this was the oompa kind of polka. Again, you got to say this is Tom Waitian in some way or another. But I think, to your point, gosh, it is such an earworm. It is a very, very catchy song. And then it has this really great, once again, a really great bridge in here. I think when he does it, he writes some really great bridges. And one of my favorite things that happens in this song is that bridge goes into a false end for the song. You think the song is over, then all of a sudden they kick back up and there's this solo that Voodie plays. It's just a very interesting strange song. And I think the lyrics and the heaviness of the lyrics really kind of belie the kind of goofiness of the music in some way, or the instrumentation, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it sounds especially goofy right at the beginning.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's just going to be a total like goof rock Art of Love kind of thing. And as it kind of gets going and as the song goes on, I think like musically and with that repeated chorus, and they keep adding more voices, it sounds like, to the chorus as the song goes on, so it just gets like really big by the end. It has a little bit of a Nolans feel to it, I think, like with the horns and stuff, and it almost sounds like a funeral march.
That's interesting. That's actually an interesting take on it, especially if when you're thinking about the lyrical content.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, like this would be a song you're singing at someone's funeral.
Yeah, and I want to go back to those lyrics. You were talking about that chorus and that chorus line. I know that's not really you. It really is evocative because it is a litany of terrible things about a person. And there is this kind of like, I know that's not really you kind of thing that you would tell yourself or might kind of think at a funeral. Like, God, this person was terrible, but I loved him or her, and I know they weren't really like that, but actually they really were like that. But you kind of like want to pretend like they're not,
Yeah. It's like you loved them in spite of that, or there was something positive in spite of that. Because he says, the people you love are proud to be cruel, prisoners to all the harm they do. They laugh at you until you start loving. Yeah. So it's like, even though he's listing all these things that he's upset with you about, he's saying like there was a loving side of you as well, Yeah,
it's a rich and conflicted kind of song. And again, like such a strange combo with this music, which is really, it really does not seem like that's where the content's going to be. But, again, as we've gone through the catalog, I think one thing you can count on is Eitzel will frequently, not always, but frequently, I think intentionally mismatch the tone of lyrics and music.
Right. Contradictions. Yes.
Indeed. All right. So shall we move on here?
Let us move on.
Okay. On my way, 5 minutes and 13 seconds. Let's go.
From the edge of the world where the waltzes play, I'm on my way. The North Sea ferry shudders all along its iron wall.
Okay, I feel like this is spiritually and lyrically the final song on the album.
Oh,
and I'm going to tell you why. This is a heavy sea is death motif, right? It is the sea. I'm going out to sea. I'm surrounded by all of these other dead or dying people that are about to go out to sea. And he is telling someone, I'm on my way. And I think that he's telling Kathleen, I'm on my way.
What makes you conclude that?
Well, if I'm being honest, the bulk, because I think a lot of songs are about Kathleen. You know what I mean? So I think
it's a good guess. It's a good guess.
So when
percentages,
I do think that there's a lot of Eitzel's songs probably end up being dialogues with Kathleen and the role that Kathleen played in his life. Kathleen, by this point, I think is dead. And I think Eitzel's on the other side of. Well, it's interesting. Is he on the other side of his heart attack here?
No, because I thought that was in 2010.
Okay, all right. Well, then maybe that isn't the case. But yeah, there is one line in here. I can see you holding them in my sunsets are all one sentence postcards. I can see you holding them in your beautiful hands. And as I hold my nose.
Hands. He sings about hands a lot, and I think multiple times in reference to Kathleen.
Yeah, her paper hands that we talked about in the song on side A.
Heaven of your hands.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's also a section in here I can't find it right now. Where he talks about her having
the
gone first.
North Sea Ferry. Is that a San Francisco thing?
I mean, the North Sea is the North Atlantic, right?
So that's that's like England off the coast of Europe.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think the first two sections, I kind of feel like this is, there's this sense of like the going out to sea is an equivalent to dying, right? But he moves on from that, past the container port floodlights, the mountains of souls, past abandoned soul, past haunted old battleships, past the lighthouse. So it's just the sense he's going further and further out to sea. Yeah, I don't know. And then I guess where I'm really kind of feeling like this is about death, or him feeling like he's getting closer to death. Maybe I'm finally about to see what's right before my eyes. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. You should be here instead of me. You could always love your enemy. I was born with no love for anything, but I can't turn away. I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, could be totally wrong. I don't think there's anything that's on the nose about these lyrics, but that was the overall sense that I got.
No, I think that is a good interpretation. I don't think I have a better one. I was thrown off by the North Sea Ferry. I think that because I was thinking like, oh, is this England, World Wars? Like, but you're right. Like singing specifically to someone, you should be here instead of me. Yeah, I think your interpretation is good. The one thing that I wanted to, like, Voodie, Voodie kind of steals the show. He steals the show on this song.
Totally.
Because he comes up after the first chorus with a big wall of guitars, but it's brief, and then it's kind of back to like a more subdued, the mood of the verses. But then at the end, he brings it. He brings it all.
Yeah. No, it's an amazing Voodie section, a great devolution of the song at the end. I really, really enjoyed this song. I love that intimacy in the start. And then when the band comes in, it just kind of like coalesces in an unexpected way for me. And then it again kind of like decoalesces, I guess, at the end of the song. I felt like I was like, God, this could be the album opener in my opinion. But in the end, I felt like because of the lyrical content, it felt like an album closer. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, maybe when we talk about the final track. But I can't. This is a largely imposed kind of way to look at a catalog. It's one that's rooted in backtracking and not rooted in like any kind of practical reality. But I do think that like the last album of a band's career, you want that last track to somehow them to know it's the last track, right?
Right.
And in the Rush season 1, the final Rush album, the last song on the last Rush album is a song called The Garden that is very uncharacteristic of the band in a whole bunch of different ways. And it is very much this kind of like lyrical, musical goodbye song. And I probably unfairly came to this album wanting the same thing, and I think I think I may be imposing a little bit too much of that on this song in particular. But that was a little bit of the lens I was looking at this through.
Yeah, I guess I for whatever reason I didn't interpret On My Way like in it as death, but now that you kind of laid it out, I'm like, yeah, like it definitely feels that way, and so it would make the most appropriate closing song for the final AMC to date album.
Yeah.
And therefore I just made an adjustment. Jay Williams retracking of The Golden Age.
All right.
I'll tell you when we get there. Okay.
I want to get to that, but we got to get through the Grand Duchess of San Francisco. So should we do that now? All right. The Grand Duchess of San Francisco, 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Let's go.
To the world, it's just a disease. She hates to live in the spotlight, but she'll take that bitter pill.
All right, Jay William. I found this one really quite sentimental and touching. What did you think about this lyrically?
See, to me, like, I thought, well, this is kind of an appropriate ending, for the AMC albums, because it's like bringing it back to San Francisco, which is clearly, its own important place in the AMC discography. And, we're singing about it sounds like a woman of ill repute, in San Francisco. So what better way to close it off? And it's a brief thing. It does feel almost like an addendum, to the album.
A coda.
Yeah. Like a little kind of subdued coda. And I like that about it. So now I'm torn. I might have to revisit my retracking again.
No, this one, this is a very, I had a strange thought, and I have no evidence to substantiate this, but it popped into my head as I was listening to the song and thinking about the track sequencing and what they might want to say, probably knowing that this was going to be the last AMC album. I'm not sure that they did, but I'm guessing they did. Is the Grand Duchess of San Francisco Eitzel talking about Eitzel? Is he the Grand Duchess of San Francisco?
Let's hold up. Let's it could be, you could read it as sort of a commentary on himself, I guess. She hates to live in the spotlight, but she'll take that bitter pill. She hates to live in the spotlight, but it's an emptiness she can fill. Like that could apply to, any performer or person who's sort of like has to be in the spotlight. Maybe he's talking about himself. Maybe he's talking about just other entertainers, people who naturally, are so extroverted and have to kind of be on all the time.
Yeah. I kind of like wondered if there was a little bit of Johnny Mathis feat in this one, right? Where there is this character that's really just him looking at himself, talking to himself about himself. I don't know. I mean, that's definitely a stretch, but again, I think probably to my discredit, I really was trying to kind of formulate some catalog ending message out of these songs, and maybe that's how why I'm reading too much into it. But musically, I really, like you said, a tight little song, sweet, simple, great chorus. I love the accordion on it. It really does I like how this sits at the end of the album, but I like it more as a coda than I do as like the ender, if that makes sense.
Yes, I see. It is kind of nice because instrumentally it sort of brings it back to Eitzel and Voodie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vudi,
Great point.
On the accordion. I do think, there are other maybe subtle voices in the background, but for the most part, it's just the two of them. And, but I agree with you that like it should feel like a coda rather than maybe like the final song. But now you see, you're screwing up my retracking now. I had it all figured out.
Well, I mean, do you have anything else you want to talk about with this, or should we get into the retracking?
I don't think I have anything else to talk about this particular one. I will say just again in general with this album, like it's a grower,
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
And I think that is true of most of the catalog. That these are headphones albums. These are not like passive.
No.
Have on in the background kind of things, and I hope our listeners have learned that lesson and learned it well over the course of this season of Backtracking.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. This is not, you don't like throw this one in with the whole bunch of albums that you're going to hit shuffle and just, I don't think you're going to get it that way. I think you really do have to kind of throw yourself into the album as kind of a complete piece. Because I think your point is good. All right, so Jay William, you got to do the retracking. I want to hear it, even if you're having questions now.
All right,
based on the conversation, I do think this album could use a retracking, and I think you're just the man to do it.
So when I'm retracking an AMC album, what I'm doing is I'm paring it down to 10 songs, 2 clean 5-song sides of a vinyl album. This is the golden age, the quote unquote uncertified gold edition by J. William Hall.
Okay.
So 10 songs. Now, what you're going to roast me about momentarily is that you had said that you had quibbles with the track order of the album. In my opinion, the first 5 songs of the album are perfectly tracked.
Okay.
Track 1,
well,
All My Love. Track 2, Victory Choir. Track 3, Decibels and Little Pills. Track 4, Sleeping Beauty. Track 5, last track on side A, The Stars, an epic closer to side A. Different than anything. I think those first 5 songs are a rock solid side A to this retracked album. Side B, flip it over. First song on side B, All the Lost Souls Welcome You to San Francisco. We're bringing it back to San Fran. We've got the pop number that we're throwing in there. This is the single for the album, most likely. Next song.
Okay.
Some consider the weakest position on the album. Second track, side 2. I know that's not really you. We're throwing them a curveball. We're throwing them the Oompa song that is deeper if you listen to it, but that is the curveball on side 2. So we're kicking off side 2 with a much different mood maybe than we left side 1 on. Next song is a transition song, Windows of the World. This is the song that's it's the emotional centerpiece of the album. It's going to take listeners on a journey all the way to the death-haunted On My Way, which some might consider to be the true closing track on the album, with the addendum of the Grand Duchess of San Francisco, track 10. Then we're going to release a 3-song EP sometime after the album. Say, when they're touring and filling the arenas. The 3-song EP kicks off with Who You Are, One Step Ahead, and The Dance closes the 3-song EP. It's a great closer.
Yeah, I think there are some things I liked about that retrack. Okay, there are some things that I liked. I liked that you moved. I know that's not really you into the second track on side B. I think that I think that works pretty well. Following up all the Lost
Souls.
Yeah, I think that's actually pretty good. I have real quibbles with what you remove from the record overall, and I have some issues with side A. I think you're wrong about side A. I don't have a retrack prepared, but I will tell you, if I had songs on the chopping block here, I'll tell you what they would be.
Go ahead.
It would be One Step Ahead. It would be All My Love.
Ugh.
Yeah. And
I don't know how else.
Probably Who Are You? Or Who You Are. Who are you?
So
yeah.
two of the three were the same, but so would you start the album with the dance?
No, I would not. I absolutely would not start the album with the dance. I'm not sure what I'd start it with.
That's a tough call. See, that's why I came back to All My Love, because it was like, I don't know what a better way to start it is.
I don't know. I mean, I think that you could start with The Sleeping Beauty. I think you could start with Windows on the World. I'm not sure. Not sure, but
Windows on the World.
No,
Beauty.
Yeah. But I think there could be a retrack here, and I do ultimately think there was maybe one or two tracks on this that could have been culled. I think that Who You Are is actually a pretty good song. I just don't like the vibe of it, especially back to back with all the Lost Souls. I think they're both hitting on a similar note, and it casts too much of an aesthetic shadow over the rest of the record. I like that this mostly feels like kind of I feel like I feel like sorry.
How do you feel? Tell us.
I feel like I just feel like there's a lot of songs on here that feel like classic AMC songs, and then the introduction of the yacht rock stuff. If there were one yacht rock song, I think it would feel a little bit more like The Dance or the I Know It's Not Really You, which are kind of classic AMC departures. But when you get multiple in the same style, you start to feel like it's a schizophrenic record. In a way. I don't know. I mean, listen, I haven't done enough thinking about it, so I shouldn't just be opining freely. I'm gonna paint myself into a corner. Well, now is when it gets serious, J. William Hall.
Okay.
This is it. I want you to understand, this is it. We're not going to have a best song or a worst song again for this season. This is your final opportunity to pick the best song correctly and to pick the worst song correctly. The next thing that happens is these two songs go into the Tournament of Champions. You are picking the final seeds in your Best American Music Club Song tournament bracket and your Worst American Music Club Song tournament bracket. Once that bracket is filled out, we just have to see how it plays out. So I need for you to be serious. I need for you to be thoughtful. And I need for you to tell me and everyone in America and, in fact, the world what the worst song is on the Golden Age. Go ahead.
So, when I'm trying to think, well, first of all, a disclaimer, which is the same for every episode, I assure you. There is not a song on this album that I think, I just really don't like that song. I like every single song on this album, but every song cannot be your favorite. Every song cannot be your second favorite. It can't be your 12th favorite. Some song is your least favorite song on the album. And somehow, despite our common background, despite overlap in listening tastes.
Yeah.
I disagree with you 1,000% about this song, The Dance, which is my worst song on the album.
Wow.
But I still like it.
No.
But it's just not the one that's doing it for me right now.
Now, J. William Hall, you've been wrong before. In fact, you've been wrong many times over the course of this season in picking the worst song on an album. And yet, you have never been as wrong as you are today by picking The Dance as the worst song on the album. You've broken new ground. You've broken your own record for wrongness today. I'm very sorry to report that. But obviously the worst song on this album, it is obvious. It's One Step Ahead. It's a half-baked, unfinished. This one, you take it back to the woodshed. You take the chorus and you throw it out the fucking window. You take those verses and you write a new chorus for it. That's what you need to do with this song. Well, it is the worst song on the album, without a doubt.
You're welcome to record your version of One Step Ahead with a new chorus that is better somehow than this one.
Somehow. Well, listen, but, there aren't a lot of songs
One Step Ahead wasn't in my upper echelon. It was also relegated to the 3-song, the Silver Age EP, as I've dubbed it.
Okay. Well, I would be very interested in understanding why One Step Ahead was better, ranked higher for you than The Dance. Was this just purely subjective, what stuck in your head kind of thing?
Basically, like The Dance just somehow felt a little, I think just the music combined with it just felt a little rote. It felt a little like, that The Dance is just one sort of chord progression over and over and over again that just, they make a little alteration. It's kind of like Pachelbel's Canon, where it's just like this descending thing that they just kind of.
How dare he write a song like Pachelbel's Canon?
Pachelbel's Canon. Oh my God. It's so.
Fuck Pachelbel and his canon.
Yeah. So cliched.
Okay, all right. So now is your opportunity to redeem yourself. You got to pick the best song on the album. There are a lot of great songs on this album, but I want to hear what you think is the best one.
There are a lot of great songs on this album, and I'm going to tell you that the song that I've chosen as the best song, and my pick for the Tournament of Champions, is a song that we heard on one of these Eitzel solo releases. It was haunting then. It's haunting in this incarnation. That song would be J. William Hall's closing track on side 1, The Stars.
Yeah. Well, I knew that was coming. That is a J. William Hall special, that song. That really is. And I think it's a great song. I think it is a terrific song. It's definitely tier 1 on this album, in my opinion. It isn't the best song, unfortunately. I got to report it. It isn't the best song. There's a classic on here. There is a classic on here that belongs in the firmament with other Eitzel classics that we are going to examine.
Something that belongs in the firmament that is not the stars, which literally is what the firmament is.
No. So the best song on the album is, of course, The Sleeping Beauty. It is a wonderfully crafted, sweet, touching, memorable, catchy. It has everything you want from an Eitzel classic. It is wonderful, and it's the best song on this album. Although I respect The Stars, think it's also great. My pick is The Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty, I like it. It's well done, well executed. Didn't stick with me as stickily as The Stars.
Yeah. Well, I understand. Well, listen, now the brackets are set. All we have to do is work our way through them. But before that happens, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be covering oddities, B-sides, live. We are going to have an American Music Club-a-Palooza next week. where we cover all kinds of nonsense that we haven't covered up to this time. It is going to be informal, where it's going to be rapid fire. We're going to give you our impressions of all of the rarities that we can get our mitts on. And then, as you're celebrating the holidays, we're going to be delivering the season finale.
The Tournament of Champions.
The Tournament of Champions. That's right, J. William Hall. So, until then, J. William Hall, as always,
Yes.
I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the thoughts. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom, your insight, your deep research. All of it makes us better as people. So thank you very much.
I've learned some things here today. I've learned some things in researching this album. It's all about lifelong learning, people. It's never too late to learn.
That's right. That is right. So take that to your, family and share it. Okay. Instagram, we're on it. Twitter, we're on it. Reddit, we're on it. Our email address, for God's sake, is backtrackingrocks@gmail.com. If you want to email us, if you want to send us a gift certificate, Bath and Body Works, for example, listen, we're not going to say no. Go ahead. I'm not going to say that we're
There are certain gift certificates that I will say no to.
Oh, really? Can you share what? I don't want people to buy the wrong thing for you. So what would be a gift certificate that you're going to say no to?
I'm going to say no to your Spotify gift certificate right now.
Oh, is there such a thing as a Spotify gift certificate?
I don't know.
Okay. Please,
there probably are.
no Spotify gift certificates, but other than that, Cabela's. J. William Hall is a huge fan of Cabela's, so if you can get a Cabela's gift certificate, he needs to get some outdoor equipment as soon as possible.
Hey, it's winter time here now. You sitting over there in the tropics. Come on now.
That's true.
Snow on the ground, frost on the window pane. You know
Frost on if there's frost on the pumpkin, J. William Hall.
Mr. Eitzel knows what I'm talking about. He's been here. He's experienced the harsh central Ohio winter weather firsthand.
Yeah,
That's where I am right now, and it's only the beginning.
that's right. That's right. So batten down the hatches, as they say. Okay,
Yes.
We will be back next week. Thank you all for tuning in. J. William Hall, thank you.
No, thank you, Dan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.